brother derailed my entire life twice. I was 20, 3 months from graduating pre-med with a Johns Hopkins acceptance, but my parents died from a rare genetic disease. My 10-year-old brother Tamir had already tested positive for the same condition. The doctor said he had maybe a few years left. The night after the funeral, I found Tamir convulsing on his bedroom floor, his tiny body twisting in ways that made me physically sick. Am I going to die like mommy and daddy? He sobbed between spasms. I held his shaking hands and made a promise that would obliterate my future. Not if I can help it. I dropped out of medical school 3 days before finals. My advisor, Dr. Newsom, called me into his office, his face contorted with pure disgust. You're throwing away Johns Hopkins for a dying child, he said, each word dripping with contempt. This disease is a death sentence. You're just postponing the inevitable while destroying your own life. When I insisted Tamir was my responsibility, he leaned back and delivered the words that still wake me up screaming, some people are born to save lives. Others are born to watch them end. Guess which pathetic category you chose. I became a medical assistant at the same hospital where I should have been training as a doctor. Every single day, I watched my former classmates walk past in pristine white coats while I drew blood and stain scrubs. Tamir's treatments cost everything I had, so I worked double shifts until my hands bled and I collapsed from exhaustion in supply closets. For years, I watched Tamir slowly waste away while I cleaned up other people's vomit and pretended my heart wasn't breaking every second of every day. I missed every birthday, every holiday, every moment of normal life because I was either working or caring for my dying brother. I had no friends, no relationships, no future beyond watching the only family I had left disappear. But then something impossible happened. Tamir didn't die. The treatment started working in ways nobody expected, and suddenly my baby brother wasn't just surviving, he was excelling. He devoured every medical journal I brought home, asked questions that made seasoned doctors pause, and threw himself into studying genetics like his life depended on it, which it did. When Tamir graduated college summa cum laude, Dr. Newsom was there because his own son was graduating. He spotted me in the crowd and approached with that same poisonous smirk from 15 years earlier. Still playing nursemaid to the dying boy, I see, he said loud enough for people around us to hear. What a complete waste of potential. You could have been saving lives by now instead of prolonging one pointless death. That's when Tamir appeared beside me, diploma in hand, eyes blazing with fury I had never seen before. Are you talking about my sister? He asked with deadly calm. Dr. Newsom nodded smugly, clearly not recognizing the child whose death he had predicted. Tamir stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow felt more threatening than screaming. The woman you call a nursemaid kept me alive long enough to become the researcher who's about to cure the disease you said was hopeless. Every breakthrough, every patent, every life I save will have her name on it because she chose love over a career. And that makes her a better doctor than you could ever dream of being. Years later, when Tamir's research led to an actual cure and pharmaceutical companies were throwing millions at him, he walked into the hospital where I was still working as an assistant. He found me restocking gauze in a supply closet, the same place I had been crying myself to sleep for decades. Iris, he said, pulling me into the hallway and handing me an envelope. Inside was an acceptance letter to Johns Hopkins Medical School and a check for full tuition. But I'm almost 40, I whispered, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the papers. They don't accept people like me. His eyes filled with tears as he handed me another letter. They do when the applicant is listed as the primary caregiver, an inspiration behind the cure for a genetic disease that doctors said was hopeless. I told them that everything I accomplished belongs to you because you gave up everything for me when nobody else would. Last month, I graduated medical school at 39. As I walked across that stage, I saw Tamir in the audience, healthy and brilliant and alive, sobbing with pride. That night, he handed me the keys to our joint research lab and whispered the words that healed 20 years of sacrifice. You kept me alive long enough to save our future. Now I'm saving yours.